Hey, Randy Joe here, and welcome back to ROCKTOBER, where throughout the month of October, we are going to be listening to different rock albums. And of course, with the first edition of the series, we did Dark Side of the Moon, a phenomenal must-listen-to prog rock album. And then we continued with some more prog onto the second video in the series, where we covered Red by King Crimson. Now, both of those really great proggy, just epic albums that are absolute must-listens and blew me away. I thought we would deviate a little bit, go a little bit more jazzy, go a little bit more yacht rock, as they may say, and check out Asia by Steely Dan. Now, I have never listened to a Steely Dan album in full. I am a fan of Steely Dan from all the songs I've heard, so I have heard some of their music, but I've never given a full proper listen to any of their albums. And Asia is often considered by many to be their best, and is often considered to be a pretty much one of the greatest albums of the 70s. I see quite often. I know production-wise, especially, this album is hailed as a necessary listen in terms of production. But other than that, I'm not sure what to expect. I've never listened to a Steely Dan track that is more lengthy than, you know, their popular hits like Reelin' in the Years and Dirty Work and Do It Again. So this kind of era of Steely Dan will all be new to me, and I'm excited to see what these longer tracks are all about. I also know that Jordy Greep, who I recently covered on this channel for his new album, The New Sound, which is a phenomenal album I've been listening to on repeat for about a week now. I know he was heavily inspired or influenced, one would say, by Steely Dan. So I'm excited to check out the influences that he took from them, because I'm not too sure what those comparisons are too much from what I've seen online. Jumping in though, let's get into the first track here, Black Cow. So funky. Like a funky guitar there. I like those backup vocals coming in here. A slight kind of soulful gospel hint. So very jazzy so far, you know, like a kind of lounge-esque. Tom Scott on that sax is nice in the background. I love the very kind of laid-back nature of this track. Ooh. I like how the one backup vocal was pushed to the back while the other's forefront. Ooh, we're taking it away on the keys here. Seems like this protagonist's lover is just getting around, perhaps? Someone's taking it away there. Could be Joe Sample on the clavinet, I'm not too sure. I love like the smooth jazz kind of tone to this. I feel like we're coasting on a late night, like the 50s or something, you know? Picturing like a New York City scene, all the lights. Just a really great atmosphere to this track. like that one. Very, I would say minimalist in a way, but still a nice full production as we came into the halfway mark. Let's go into Asia here. Much slower, gentler approach to the rock music here. It's such a gentle listen. This has been so far. Oh. Just like our simple simmer of the drums. And those shimmery keys. It's like a state of breeze is what we're getting here. A lengthy track to it. 8 minutes. Ooh. We're switching it up a little bit here. Got a bit more bold and rough with the production. Just the sound in general. Ooh. I like that plucking. Is that the marimba, perhaps? Adding like a slight tropical vibe. Also, we have a police whistle at one point. Have I heard it already? Oh. Oh, there it is. Oh my goodness. Some interesting choices instrumentally, that's for sure. I love how much of an instrumental passage we've gotten in this track. Just kind of letting it grow. It feels very natural, these progressions. Oh my goodness. Oh. I was gonna point at the sax, but the drumming here is so scattered. Oh my god, I'm liking the song based purely on the drumming aspect. Who is our drummer here? You crazy skittering player. Steve Gadd on the drums. His playing is impeccable. Up against Wayne Shorter. Wayne Shorter, the Wayne Shorter? Oh my goodness, I didn't even catch that. Oh my. Shout out Wayne Shorter, incredible saxophonist. Played with Miles Davis many a times. This track is insane so far. Very, just like a great blend of like smooth jazz and kind of lounge-esque elements as well. I love this soft rock tune that we've got. Never expected Mr. Wayne Shorter to come in. Incredible. What a collab. I gotta say Steve Gadd as well. Incredible performer on this track. Oh. God, the production there too. It's such a clean, sharp production. Those synths that just kind of linger in the air. You know, they're not pushed to the forefront. Oh. I love this outro. Great instrumental, beautiful production, great addition from Wayne Shorter and Mr. Steve Gadd on the drums too. Was certainly a highlight there. I liked how much, you know, vocally, you know, they took a back seat. The first and last kind of portion of the track taken up, where the middle section was just a pure jazzy, somewhat funky detour into a I don't know, a very relaxed zen sort of state. I don't even know how to describe it, but it was a great track. I like how, I would say, subtle a lot of the performances are on this LP. I feel like I'm enjoying it a lot now, and I feel like with more listenings, I'm going to pick up on a lot of little intricate details that are very carefully placed, because even on that first listen, there's a lot going on, but it's spread out enough that it feels like it's kind of sparse, which I like. I'm always a big fan of subtlety. Let's go into Deacon Blues, which has 60.7 million streams.
I'm ready to cross that fine line. Learn to work the saxophone.
Oh,
I'm the world. I want a name when I lose. They call out.
I could see the Greep comparisons, at least in terms of songwriting and topics. Almost like a sense of self-importance.
My back to the wall.
Somewhat theatrical, one would say, too. I would say performance-wise, vocally.
This, I crawl like a viper.
I can definitely see this brand of rock music not being for everyone. Because as much as I see Steely Dan love all over the internet nowadays, I feel like their popularity only grows. I also see a fair amount of Steely Dan hate and discourse. Personally, I really enjoy the vibe that they bring to rock music. It certainly offsets what was popular at the time in rock music. You know, it's not some crazy proggy rock, you know, epic or anything like that. It's not trying to be something super artsy and overly bizarre, like something that maybe David Bowie would go for, or Kate Bush at the time. It's not really edgy and you know, mysterious and weird like something like you know, maybe a Lou Reed would go for. It's kind of like their own distinct flavor of rock, which is, again, very jazzy, very chill, very laid back, but there's certainly a very strong artistic appeal to what they're doing. They're all very talented, it would seem. And production-wise, again, it's so crisp, it's so clean, it's so well mixed, but it doesn't feel overproduced in the slightest. It doesn't feel like it's bogged down or anything by too many cooks or anything in the production. It's just a clean, beautifully swaying sort of record so far. And I'm digging it. But I could see people who prefer the other brands of rock finding this to be, you know, vanilla or bland or watered down. But I think there's room for everything, personally. Like, there's like a tongue-in-cheekness to them. There's a certain sophistication as well to their playing. Like they know what they're doing. And playing it safe would strip things back and make the track shorter, you know? I think they just want to have a good time, which I like. I love that. Call me Deacon Blues. I love that kind of, you know, sense of self-importance. Similar to Holy Holy by Jordy Greep, maybe? Not sure who Peter Christlieb would be, but he certainly continues that jazzy flair that Wayne brought in the last track. Wants to be a go out like a rock star, it would seem, or like a legend in the music world. It's either the Rhodes or the synth I'm hearing that's kind of like a weird plucking. But again, I like that addition. Again, like I said earlier, It's very light on top of it all. It feels very kind of airy in the playing. That was a pretty solid track as well. I liked it. I like, you know, despite these tracks being longer, this one and the last one, they never feel like they overstay their welcome. I think they do a pretty good job padding out the time with just beautifully laid out, chill instrumentals. Let's go to Peg. 91 million streams. Do I know this one? Sounds familiar. Oh, I do know this one. I do like this one. It's very, like funky. And if I'm not mistaken, was this not sampled by... It's coming to me. It's coming to me. Prince Paul on 3 Feet High and Rising by De La Soul. I'm pretty sure that is the sample that is used on the track. Yep, I know. That is the track I was thinking about in particular. Prince Paul, incredible producer. Let's do a little detour for a second. Incredible producer throughout the 90s. I would say underrated by today's standards, to be completely honest with you. But what he did with De La Soul and what he did with his own career was fantastic, as well as his production with Gravediggers. He's a great producer, is what I'm saying. And what he does with this track, for example, is he really manipulates the vocals to completely shift the way I would say they sound to really fit their own kind of goal and narrative within the track I Know by De La Soul. So, quick detour. If you haven't checked out De La Soul, do it. 3 Feet High and Rising. Incredible. And if you like Steely Dan, you're watching this video, you like the song Peg, check out I Know just to see sort of how it was reinterpreted for that track. I think it's a great track. But back to the track, Peg. I do know this one. I'm familiar. And, you know, it's a funky tune that works great in other contexts. But that part specifically is taken. I love that. I feel like we're in like a casino with this track, you know? I don't know why, but that's the vibe I'm getting. Really, just in general, this album kind of gives off that just late night fun energy. I love how it really picks up too in this second half. It all comes together. Just very groovy, very fun. Infectious performances. A great track. Maybe the most, I would say, accessible of the track so far. Just a purely, like I said, infectious, fun, kind of danceable track that shows off their signature sound. Home at Last. Let's keep going. Victor Feldman on the piano here. I like the kind of like slow pummel. I like that. A continuing barreling tone. Not sure how I feel about this one though overall. It's not as it's not sticking to me. At least not on the initial listen like some of the others did. I like where this is going. Oh. 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 Wait, what? Is this the vibraphone? Did we shift from the synth to the vibe? I can't tell. But I really liked where that was going. Now he's shifting over. Really like oceanic guitar here. I guess that's the yacht rock sound, right? You know what? Earlier in the track I was saying I wasn't quite getting it. But I do love when these instrumentals expand upon themselves and continue to grow. And the second half, I would say, has changed my mind. Sometimes you gotta let these tracks develop, I guess, but a really just distinct atmosphere that the sound brings, and I love it. Yeah, I like that one more as it went. I do think the first half was kind of leaving me wanting more, whereas the second half of that track gave me more. So I guess what I'm saying is I'm fairly mixed overall on the track. But I feel like, again, with repeated listenings, I will continue to admire what it does. But that first half was a little bit too slow for my liking. Let's go into I Got the News, which doesn't seem too popular. Only 8 million streams. I always like that kind of dragged sort of hi-hat. I can definitely see why this is the least popular. It's very sparse listen. Doesn't feel like too much is going on to really grasp onto. I don't know, this track, even these moments where they solo out, they detour, I just feel like I'm hearing more of the same at this point. Sounds gross. Okay. I like the focus on the piano. Feels like a stronger focus on this track. This track is very bizarre. I think the sparseness of it is really what's like, it feels so devoid of rhythm and passion. Piano work is bizarre to me. Like, it feels off kilter. Like, am I going crazy here? Does it feel like it's a very bizarre track to me? Almost feels like how a drummer is told to lay the groundwork and everyone else was told to just do whatever on the track. Maybe there's like a sense of improv to it. I don't know. Yeah, I didn't love that track. Probably, most definitely my least favorite so far, I would say. Just didn't do much for me, personally. Felt a little bit too disjointed. Let's go into Josie. Closing it out. Very shimmery open. Bit of a disco kind of hint, I would say, on this one. There's always like a bit of a disco element to their music so far, but it feels stronger on this one. The performances from Donald here, as well as just like the rhythm of this track, feels kind of like your late 70s groove disco. Scrapple? Battle Apple? I'm not sure what that means. Maybe some slang that's lost. Oh, a bit of a different direction than I expected. I thought it was going to be much harder there. Oh. I love that. Oh my goodness. I believe that's just the guitar, but it feels very kind of like strung out. It's got like a wavery psychedelic appeal to it. Oh. Oh, that guitar really being honed in here. I like this one. Funky, disco-y, laid back, kind of jazzy rock. I like that one. Certainly leans more into the kind of disco flair that they kind of toy with throughout the album. I like that one quite a bit. But I would say that overall, I do think tracks 1 to 4 make up the best of the tracks here. Josie also would be kind of put up alongside them, but maybe not as strongly. I do like the disco kind of funky tone that they lean into with it. But Home at Last and I Got the News were definitely my least favorite of the track list here, which isn't the end of the world. Can't all be perfect, can't all be bangers, but I would say overall I was, for the most part, surprised by this album. I knew that they had a softer focus. I just didn't expect such a soft rock focus. It's very jazzy. It's very, I would say, even soulful, kind of like that plastic soul that Bowie toyed with. You know, it doesn't feel completely real. It feels like there's an artificial self-awareness to it. Another thing I really like about this is, you know, it does have a very distinct sort of night on the town sort of atmosphere to it. You know, I'm picturing lights or like we're in Vegas or something in a lot of these tracks, because it's just so vivid in its atmosphere. It's got a very kind of like nighttime atmospheric focus that's just kind of intoxicating. And I think Peg is the best example of it, but even Asia and Deacon Blues kind of dive into the sound. Josie closes it out too with a similar sort of vibe where you feel like you are just having a good time. You know, there's no bad times in sight. There's no sense of eeriness or hardness to this rock. It is just pure good vibes. Technically speaking, like, they are all very clearly talented musicians, and they make a very distinct sort of avenue within their own genre here. And although I could see, like I said earlier, it's certainly not for everyone, I do think that it makes for really great music to kind of have at like a chill, kind of laid back sort of get together, because it is kind of you know, accessible as it is complex and, you know, easily to get entranced in. But I don't really have too much more to say. I thought it was a pretty solid record, but you know, it's not like it is blowing me away as much as some of these other rock albums have. I do think, though, that with repeated listenings, the subtleties of a lot of these tracks will grow on me, because there is certainly a plethora of subtle moments throughout this record where I feel like it is very easy to let them slip by on a first listen. This record is certainly not in your face about anything, which I actually think is quite admirable. But that does it for today's video. If you liked the video, please hit like, subscribe, follow along in Rocktober, where we are going to listen to more rock albums throughout the month of October. If you're wondering what the next video is going to be, what the next album we are going to react to, it is going to be The Pod by Ween, which, to be quite honest, I am very excited for, because I am a fan of Ween, which I will address in the next video. But The Pod is one that I have not listened to yet. But, as always, my name is Randy Joe. I appreciate you watching, and I'm signing off.